Hi all, sorry I'm partially naked here, but the heat is killing me. I would like to say something about what I call the internal switchboard. Basically, I find that every single human being is a switchboard, and once you meet something in your life, you you sort of assert it to a switch, and this switch you set into, do I like it, do I not like it, or haven't I decided yet, or basically positive, negative, and neutral. And this internal switchboard sort of runs itself to some extent, and it also is run by you, but it is in some way it is very, very, very complicated, very complex, and so on, because it is individualized, this switchboard. It is I cannot say that for instance, first time you meet love in any sense, you set your setting for this, and then the setting will always be like this, and no matter what other switches you switch on or off or don't touch, it won't affect this switch. Because for me it might not, but for you it may be. It all depends on, is it possible for you to have so much or discover so much hate in your life that love disappears. If that is possible, then this switch can be flicked off or in neutral or whatever. If enough hate switches are flicked on, you know what I mean? So therefore you can say it is a permanent setting, but there are chances that you flick some of all the other switches inside you, because it is not depending on, do I flick a switch or do I not flick a switch. It is more dependent on, what does this switch I flick control? What does it contain? What does it matter? In what sense does it matter? In this sense, if let's say you have just to take something, I don't care if you don't like sexual desires and so on. Let's take sexual desires. You say, I am into, you are a male and you are into females. Click. Therefore I like Jessica. Click. And you are in love with Sarah. Click. And you don't like Ben in that way at all. Click. So basically you have another switch saying, I am straight. Click. So basically you have a lot of settings within this here switchboard, and all of a sudden with one setting you realize, you are now gay instead. So with one flick of this from straight to homosexual, you flick a lot of other switches. For one, you flick, I like girls, I like Sarah, I like Jessica, I don't like Ben. Those are reversed with just flicking from normal sexual orientation to homosexual sexual orientation. Fuck, it's man some words, eh? But you can see what I mean, right? So it's not easy to say this switch flicks this. You have to sit down and realize these things. I cannot sit down and give you the exact way of this, how this is, because this switchboard is not and will never be the same for you and me, or the same for anyone in this world, because you see, basically it is a switchboard that is like 10 times 10 meters, and the first switch you come to, you set for love, and the first switch I come to, I set for water, or for food, or for whatever, you know. So basically, because your first switch is something else than my switch, we can't interact with them. And there's also stuff like I choose at some point to say I will never become homosexual, because, or bisexual for that matter, because I find that even though it might be appealing, or what's the right word, even though it might be satisfying for me or whatever, it is not something I want to do. It is a choice I make, that, or a personal choice that I make, that sure, there is a possibility that I like homosexuality, but I don't care. And because I put this switch up, I don't care, I will never have homosexuality click, then it doesn't matter what, that it will never ever flick that switch, you know what I mean? Because I said it is not possible. So once I say, for instance, I don't care for any choices I have made previously, they are all non-important, then all of a sudden this switch can be flicked. You know, you see where I'm going with this? So basically, you have to realize that there are some things, some switches that you have flicked inside yourself that affect other switches, and some switches that don't affect other switches, even though you would think they would do it, but they don't. It doesn't affect each other because of some other, let's call them overall switches, like overall love and so on, instead of individual love. Those overall switches are somewhat harder to flick via other switches than an individual switch. For instance, if you have a lot of money and people come to you to ask for stuff each day, it maybe doesn't matter, and you would say that's okay, and blah blah blah. But if one day you don't have any money and people still come ask for you and get mad at you if you don't give them anything and so on, then you will change stuff. And I don't know where the fuck I went with that, but I hope you can see it. It has nothing to do with money, but it has something to do with the circumstances you are in. All of a sudden made the choices change, you know what I mean? And this, I think we have to realize, because it is one of the most important things inside us. That is, that all the switches we have clicked put us on an autopilot. You know, you take the choice once or two or three or 5 times, and then you never take the choice again. So basically, this switchboard is your autopilot. You don't have to fucking know any of the switches. You just have to say to yourself, I don't like this, I don't want this, I'm not gonna do this, and so on and so on. You have to be consistent within stuff, and you have to be specific in some situations, or you will fuck yourself even more because of the way things are. But you should sit down and think about this, if it appeals to you, if you find you can use it in any way, you should sit down and think a bit about it, because it is one of the better analogies of or comparison of situations and so on. Anyway, time's up, so see you guys later, and love you all so much, and have fun, and hope you could use it. Bye bye.